what happened at SDCC Friday?
So on Friday, Hall H was a little light, but James and I, because James was with me today,
Hello.
um, we kind of got away from Hall H. I'd rather go see stuff that I do care about and that I do think I could talk about and be enthusiastic about. So the first thing, and seems to be something our audience likes as well, is My Adventures with Superman. There was no panel, but there was a screening of episode 4, which all of you can watch right now and should go watch. And also, Comic-Con got to exclusively watch episode 5. So we are, to my knowledge, the only people in the world that'll watch that episode. So let's talk about episode 4 first. So I can just confidently say it's easily the best episode.
Totally agree.
I mean, I would have 5 tied with it, but for the sake of this, it is the best episode so far. I don't want to get into spoilers, but it has a very cool premise with its villain, which is something that we have been complaining about on here. One of our few gripes with the show is the villains have felt a little monotonous, and I feel like this episode had a really cool way of going about that. I don't want to necessarily spoil it yet. Go watch it yourself. If you're a Superman, and honestly, just DC Comics fan in general, I think you'll find it very interesting. I feel like this is the episode that had the best character moments. Lois and Clark have some really good development here. Honestly, this is really a high quality adaptation of these characters. And I mean, I was expecting the show to be fun, but I really wasn't expecting it to understand the characters as much as it has. And I think it's doing a really good job of that. Another thing is that this episode definitely had the best action in the show.
Yeah.
So far.
Far and away.
Yeah, and this is like a proof of concept for this show, in my opinion. Like, this shows me what we could be getting, in the future, and we're just getting started. So I really liked it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
James, you're next.
Well, Liam, do you want to give your opinion? Because I'll probably give my opinion and then kind of slide into the spoilers for episode 4.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
So Liam,
I can give a brief spoiler-free bit. Most of what I have to say about it is probably spoilers as well, but to talk about it spoiler-free, I absolutely agree with Jacob. It's the best episode, bar none. I have been marginally less enthusiastic about the show as a whole compared to my co-hosts here, just because really I'm not as big of a Superman fan in general as they are. But I've still enjoyed the show. I think the first couple episodes are very kiddie feeling to me, which is fine. But it was a whole thing where it released midnight on Adult Swim, and so the marketing and all that sort of led you to believe that it was going to be a bit more mature, and then like yada yada yada. Long story short, the first 3 episodes, they were good. I'm not sure if they were episodes I would watch, or it would be a show I kept up with if it wasn't kind of my job to do so with Holy Plot. But that has changed with episode 4. This is absolutely the most, I'm trying to find the right word for it. It's the episode
Gritty?
not even gritty, because I don't want to I don't want it to make it seem like I'm only into media that's like mature and dark and gritty. It's the one that feels the most like a cartoon that I would have enjoyed when I was a kid in a good way. Like it's very spectacular Spider-Man-y. It's very
you beat me to it.
The Batman-y, if not the movie, but the show. If any of you watched that underrated masterpiece.
It is underrated.
People have been throwing on spectacular Superman, and I think this is really the episode where that is felt.
Not just because of location, it does remind me of the Green Goblin introduction episode.
That's what I was thinking it.
Well, Liam, what would you give it out of 10?
Considering that it lit a tiny little Green Goblin fire in my heart adjacent, shit, dog, I'm gonna give it an 8. Sorry, it was a little anticlimactic, I'm sure, but I don't know. I'm not gonna give it a 9. I mean, I gave like Oppenheimer a 9. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So James, What's your verdict before you get into spoilers?
Yeah, I'll go non-spoiler first. This episode addressed one of my complaints in like a way that I did not expect, and a way that bumped up how I felt about the
Don't
show.
spoil it.
I won't.
I know what your complaint is. Don't spoil it.
But yeah, then there's one complaint that I can save because it's another trend with the show. One that I don't think this episode corrected, and it's kind of like, okay, this might be a problem for me, but we'll see. But just my thoughts on the overall episode, it was the best that the tone felt mixed.
Okay.
Like everything, like the romance stuff with Lois, and then the Superman stuff where it's like, oh, here's the freak of the week villain. I thought that all of it was very balanced, a lot like the other animated shows.
Yeah, I mean,
for superheroes.
it feels like it has found its footing completely.
Like the boot felt like it fit with this one.
Yeah,
It felt like
sure.
with the first three, it was kind of a bit of a tonal experiment. I think based off of what some of the producers and showrunners, like what they came off of last time.
Yeah.
And I think here it's like paint, and now it's all blending into this beautiful brown. This
beautiful brown.
beautiful brown, yeah. Not a rainbow.
Okay.
Because we're science accurate when we talk about mixing paint here on Holy Plot.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
So
Fair enough.
I
You
would
know
say
what?
the show has a beautiful brown to it.
I think
Okay,
I
give us your
think-
verdict so we can talk spoilers.
my verdict is an 8 out of 10, and I don't think that it's spectacular Superman yet, but I feel like that is.
But I feel the energy.
that's the path.
We're getting
we're
there. This is the closest we've been for sure.
I think if they got a little bit more experience with like this animation style and these models and everything, and their action and their storyboarding, if the action gets faster,
The action was great in this
it
episode.
was. But I'm saying like Spectacular Spider-Man is a very fast show,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it could be Spectacular Superman if it gets to that point with the animation.
Yeah, and I want to preface right before we go into spoilers that I am just a big Superman fan. So
Really.
yeah, so
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna take my scores with a grain of salt. I think an 8 is probably a little bit more accurate. Getting to watch, and I think a big part of it is just the environment we were in. Getting to watch 1,000+ people love Superman just warms my heart. Like,
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Watching it with an actual crowd of
yeah, I mean, James watching it with an audience, and I think that we can kind of transition into spoilers a little bit here because of that. The just reactions the episode was getting were very enthused, very impactful.
Official spoiler warning right here. Right here. If you haven't seen the show yet and you want to go in unspoiled, stop watching right now. All right, go ahead.
which this isn't a spoiler. It's just me agreeing with you. I've been kind of anxious about if the internet was going to eat the show alive. Because I knew going in, because I followed some of the people that have worked on it. I knew it was going to be more lighthearted, humorous. It was going to have equal, 4-quadrant male and female audience are welcome. And I was worried that, some of the comic book fans on Twitter were going to tear it up.
I mean, that's
not happening.
That's the thing with
I'm
Superman.
shocked.
Superman is everybody's hero. He's not America's hero. I know that might be a controversial statement. I definitely agree with changing his motto. I'm a patriotic person, but I genuinely think that Superman is the world's hero.
Communist.
So we desperately need Superman stories that are appealing to everyone. I mean, and this is just that. And it was just so this wholesome, basically, is the best way to describe it. To see people reacting to the mostly the end of the episode.
The humor, though.
The humor, yes, this is very funny. These episodes were hilarious, especially the 5th one, which we'll get on to.
I was really surprised how much everybody seemed to be responding to the humor.
Because there's a gag in the 5th episode that is just hilarious. But
Yes,
let's stick to
we
4.
can't talk about
Let's
it.
stick to 4, okay? So, the end of the episode, I did not see that really coming. Obviously, we knew Lois Lane was going to figure out Superman, but
Yeah.
she is usually told. She's usually
Clark removes the glasses, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god.
it's a moment
Whoa.
of the two of them. It's usually an accepting of their love for one another, like in Superman and Lois. But here, it is she puts it together herself, and that
I kind of
is
like
such
that.
a unique way of going about it.
It fits this version of the
Because I
character
think
very well.
Yes.
she definitely would. Like that's
Yeah,
always been a
this version-
disconnect with people for Lois is that she's this, and I know there are ways to compartmentalize it, but Lois Lane is like a multiple Pulitzer Prize winning investigative journalist who can't recognize the dude she hangs out with literally all the time when he has his glasses on or off. So I appreciated it honestly. I think it made me. It made Lois Lane seem like an actual reporter who would pick up on this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's just a little bit of a cheese you have to accept with the premise, but the
Yeah.
show is really trying to modernize this character, and I think that was a good way to go about it.
Staying within the spoiler territory of episode 4, the other big thing is the villain.
So yeah, I mean,
That's what I really want to talk about.
Yeah, Leo, I know you're a big fan of Parasite,
I am a big fan of Parasite.
and this is a very unique take on Parasite.
It's a very epic, badass, cool guy take on Parasite.
Yeah, it's like a Evangelion Parasite.
He did look
Well,
like...
it starts as an Evangelion, and then it starts getting a little Godzilla-ified.
There are
I guess.
Evangelion fans in the team of this show. After the
Oh,
mechs of
absolutely.
the first episode and this...
Yeah, the mechs of the first episode are just like they're 100% like in canon, just like ripped from Evangelion. Like the lead designer from the show was like, yeah, that's our inspiration. Like you got us.
When
And
the
I feel even more here. I mean, with
yeah,
the way
when the Parasite suit has its mask on, it's basically just Unit 1.
yeah, I
which
mean,
is awesome.
even like the way
Here
like,
for it.
like the Eva's mannerisms in the show, because I just watched Evangelion, so we won't pontificate about it too long. But
Good show.
like yes, go watch it.
Lois gave him a little kiss on the cheek and said, "That's a big boy kiss."
Oh man. We'll
that's
do the
another
rest when you
stuff.
get back. Yeah.
The mannerisms of like the Eva in the show were like Parasite, like that mechanic kind of monster, like it kind of feels like a reptile and a robot at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they directly go for spoilers for Evangelion if you haven't seen it. They directly go for that moment where like the jaw pops out and it becomes like set like an organism.
Yeah.
And they did that here with Parasite, which was kind of a saving grace for me because an issue that's developing, and I just don't like this when cartoons do this, where every villain is a tech-based villain.
No, but
But
they didn't do that though.
It's exactly true, man.
Well, that's what I was going to get at is this episode. It developed it past that. The fact that it's that they do mutate him out of it being armor. That's what kind of sold it for me.
I mean, well, it's
You know what
amazing.
this is kind of like?
Hmm.
It's like if in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, stick with me. If in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Jamie Foxx's character, no, I'm so serious, fell into the vat of evil electric eels, and then he fought Spider-Man for the first, or not even the first 2/3, just the whole movie. He fought Spider-Man as like a mech in this electric eel tub. And then at the very end, he gets shocked and he comes out as Electro and he goes, "I'm going to get you for this later,
Yeah.
Spider-Man." That's basically what happens. But it's cool. It's cool. I made it
Which, by the
sound
way-
really lame, but it's cool.
That's actually a really good point, though. It's for the same reason that I wouldn't want every Spider-Man villain tied to Oscorp, because in some ways that can remove their variety and their distinction.
Mhm.
However, this episode actually, it started off as more of a nitpick, and then it got.
Well, I mean,
it got away from it, is what I'm
Amazo
trying
is
to
just
say.
a robot, so you can't do Amazo, which I don't think we really outright addressed. This episode takes Amazo and basically morphs it with the concept of Parasite, and they have very similar skill sets.
So it's hard to believe they haven't done this before.
Yeah, it feels natural. I usually hate and despise when you homogenize two villains together and just like I think it just
fuse them together.
yeah,
Like,
it's trying to have your cake and eat it too. It's trying to have everything but having nothing.
it's like doing Taskmaster, but she's also this random original
Exactly.
Black Widow character
Um,
too. It's like just two different characters.
Yeah, I can't stand it. It annoys me, but this is a very good example of it. It's the exception to the rule, and I think it works just because of how similar the skill sets of the villains are. So I get your tech criticism,
It's going away.
but it's
That's also my
amazing.
point.
So you literally just can't get
The
around it.
tech though, the tech also serves, I kind of liked it because it served as a bit of connecting web in between some of the more villain of the weeky guys we saw before, especially Intergang.
For a show that's about journalists, it's nice that they actually have like breadcrumbs to
I
investigate.
genuinely think we should talk about this in episode 5.
Sure.
Okay, I want to talk about the Alex character, which is undoubtedly Lex Luthor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
let's talk about
Holy
Holy
dude,
plot.
holy plot. I had
Yes,
to talk
that-
about
That is Lex, 100%.
Oh, dude, it totally is.
Yeah.
They're planning this. No,
Senator.
look, he's young. He's young. He still has his hair, but he is clearly.
Oh, ahoy, ahoy! I did not know you
I
were
mean-
here.
Look.
I hate that
No,
performance so
that's
much,
fine.
man.
Lex being young can be amazing.
Dude,
Look at
but the
Smallville.
characters are young in this. You can't
Yeah.
have Lex. I prefer Lex when he's a little bit younger because I think it makes his flaw of his naiveness a little bit more hypocritical.
So do
because
we think he is going to take over a Mazo corporation and make it an LexCorp?
I don't know, but they're definitely planting the seed for the character.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it is cool. I would say that if it is Lex, I totally don't mind a younger version of Lex. One thing I was about to say is look at Smallville. That is, and I've only watched some of Smallville. That is one of the most renowned versions of Lex.
It is probably the most renowned version of Lex.
It's
So,
the one I
like-
know about.
And even though I just made the joke about it, I actually do not hate BVS Lex. But we're not going to go off on a
No,
tangent
we're not.
about that.
Absolutely not.
That's
And
a whole-
I'm with James.
That's the holy plot 100
The
subscriber
red capes
special.
are coming. The red capes are
That's-
coming.
And I'd love to see the show even do Lionel Luthor as well.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Lionel Luthor explored on screen for a while. So that's really all the thoughts that I have on episode 4, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think we basically summed it up. So
Very,
we're gonna move
very
on.
good.